One of the disappointing things that occurs in my life on any given day is the lack of free time that I generally have. During the year, I have presentations, assignments, projects that need to be done. During the holidays, I have family get-togethers, I have apartment hunting trips, and the occasional convention. So the amount of free time that I have is usually spent watching whatever show I have lined up to review next. And in a lot of ways, that's a good thing. It's very enjoyable in a lot of ways, but also it's very depressing, since what it means is that unless I'm going to review a show, I can't watch it. And though I know there are websites out there on the internet like Crunchyroll and Funimation that have all these wonderful shows that I would love to sit down and watch, I can't, because I can't use any of their footage. And they've probably had some of these great shows up there for years, and I just haven't been able to get around to them. Sora no Oto, or Sound of the Sky, is one of those shows. Ladies, gentlemen, and others, my name is Arcada, and welcome to Glass Reflection. Today, Sound of the Sky. Sound of the Sky was brought to us by animation production studio A1 Pictures, the same production studio responsible for Kannagi, Black Butler, and Space Brothers. Take that as you will. It was directed by a wonderful fellow named Mamoru Kanbei, whose directorial credits include the slice-of-life comedy You and Me, and also Elfen Lied. Well, that's a bit of a jump there, isn't it? Alright, let's go with it. Sound of the Sky is a show based in a post-apocalyptic future where the majority of the planet is nothing but a wasteland, save for some small pockets of Earth that is still quite beautiful. Of the few pockets of land there is, however, is a constant war between the final human nations that exist, and our story takes place in the small remote town of Seas, located in the nation of Helvetia, who is currently in a ceasefire with the Romans. Yes, Romans.
Hail, Caesar. If it's not done by sunrise, I'll cut your balls off.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Hail Caesar and everything, sir.
Our character of the main persuasion is a young girl by the name of Kanata, who joins her country's military not to specifically fight for it, but more naively to learn how to play the trumpet, as the military boasts free instrument lessons, and she gets assigned to the 1121st Platoon as a bugler. Thankfully for her, since the 1121st is stationed in such a remote location, the general military etiquette is rather lax, and the leader of the platoon, Felicia, requires that everyone call each other by their first names instead of ranks, making them much more of a nice little family rather than a proper military troop. For the majority of the show, there is no overarching storyline, not that it really needs it. Most of the episodes are geared towards specific character developments of Kanata and her platoon mates. The lax commanding officer Felicia, the more stern second-in-command Rio, the quiet Yuki-like technician Noel, and the overly bossy Kreha. And as such, the show is properly placed under the genre of slice of life. And that's something I always used to find as a negative point. Years ago, when I saw a show being labeled as a slice of life, my mind would always flash back to things like Lucky Star and Azumanga Dao, you know, those high school comedies that in terms of plot really didn't amount to much. But nowadays I'm finding the genre one of my favorites, producing shows that I can just sit down, relax, and enjoy. Sound of the Sky being one of them. The animation for the show is one of the high points, and if any of the shows I own deserve to be put onto Blu-ray, this is definitely one of them, as it looks gorgeous even on DVD. The animation style, though, as should be obvious by now, is very moe influenced, which might be a major turnoff for some people, as I know it can be. Not that I agree with those people, but I can understand some of their concerns, especially in regards to fanservice.
For fanservice!
Really though, Sound of the Sky has a very specific feel to it. There are times that the story gives off this feeling of Ghibli films, such as Castle in the Sky and Kiki's Delivery Service. The animation obviously reminds me of Kyoto Animation shows such as K-On!, and at times the setting is reminiscent of shows like Haibane Renmei. So Sound of the Sky really is like Haibane Renmei meets K-On! With some Ghibli trumpeting mixed in. The music is another thing, and in the show it's a driving force at several moments. You'd think that a show that makes reference to music and has sound in its very title with a very good soundtrack, and Well, thankfully it does, with most of the moving scenes of the show accompanied by the musical score composed by Michiru Oshima, who also composed the soundtrack for the original Fullmetal Alchemist, if I recall correctly. There is also a relatively heavy focus on the trumpet, since two of the main characters play said instrument regularly, and most of the platoon know how to play as well. So basically, you have a full squadron of females that just love to blow a horn. Thank you, I'll be here all week. Try the field! Yeah, moving on. For some of the major plot points as well, the show seems to heavily rely on trumpet rendition of Amazing Grace, and while I will admit that Amazing Grace is a good song, it's not extremely amazing, and it's not a song that I would have preferred personally. But hey, I can just close my eyes, imagine Pazu's fanfare from Castle in the Sky, and hell, I'm good. I haven't talked about opening sequences in a while, and this one deserves mention. One of the most distinct visual openings in existence, well, in my opinion anyway, is that of Elfen Lied. So when you have the same director in charge of a new show, well, why not just make another opening like that? But bring in Yuki Kajira to write the music this time, instead of the very somber music that Lied had, and it's something very special to behold, as visually it's extremely appealing, and then with Kajira's music behind it, brilliant. The dub for the show is also freaking amazing. It's probably one of the best dubs for any show I have ever heard. Ever. Let's take a gander, shall we? Oh, I'm sorry. There is no dub. Silly me. In a lot of ways, I understand why some licensing companies are against putting dubs on their new shows, mainly because it is an expensive venture, after all, and it's just much easier to ship their DVDs with just subtitles and no dub, but I feel it's becoming a bit of a bad habit. Say what you want about the sub versus dub argument. Sub is the original version and should be the only version people watch, and yada yada yada, that whole argument, but at the same time, you have to remember that there are people in existence that won't watch a show unless it has a dub. Nothing beats watching a show and being able to understand the words told to you because it's in the language that you speak, instead of having to constantly look down at the bottom of the screen and read subtitles. Like, that can get really annoying after a while, and sometimes people just prefer to not have the subtitles at all and just be able to focus on the face of all the characters and just look at what they're saying rather than look at the bottom of the screen. Plus, I know many people that just outright refuse to watch a show without a dub because they just don't like reading subtitles. Well, what do you do with those people? If you're like me and you watch a great show, but it's sub-only, I can't show this show to those people because they just won't watch it without a dub, and it's just really depressing to me. The DVD set did come with this wonderful little art book, though, so that was a nice touch. Sound of the Sky is a nice little show about the importance of friendship and music in the face of an ever-looming adversity. The music was superb, the animation is downright beautiful, and the characters were a real pleasure to watch. But like any shows, there are moments that could have been scripted better, but not in an annoying or discouraging way. The overabundance of the moe style might also be a negative point for some, but if anything, Sound of the Sky shows that you can do more with this art style than just young girls in school uniforms living their mundane everyday lives. One depressing thing is that although the series ended well, it gives off this feeling that there is still more to be told about the characters, about the world that the show was based in, and hopefully we can see more of that someday. But for now, Sound of the Sky is a refreshing tale to watch and worth the price of admission. If you're still looking for some more, you can try and find a copy of Haibane Ranmei, or an easier option might be to watch Castle in the Sky, as both are recommendations from me. And until next time, ladies, gentlemen, and others, stay frosty.